What is your gut saying you? And you have to be so honest with your feelings. I suggest you talk them out to other people that you trust because they will hear the truth that you might not be allowing yourself to see.
There is always an alternative. It's just going to take some reflection to get there.
And there's a lot that has to connect to make this transition happen. And it's not something that needs to go fast. It needs to go right.
Welcome to the Total Succession Show. I'm your host, Tyson Ray, joined by Kim Cochenour. We're glad you're here. Subscribe at totalsuccession.com/podcast and let each episode guide you closer to a confident, well-planned exit. Today's conversation just might be the nudge you need to start preparing for what's next.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the Total Succession podcast. You had the conversations, you made the choice, you even started the transition, and then something broke. Imagine that. The successor left or couldn't even handle the weight of the transition. So what do you do when the succession plan you thought was in motion falls apart? Today's episode is a must listen for any of you who've started the process of a succession plan and it is not going as planned. Tyson's seen this fall apart and he's lived through it himself. So let's talk about why successions fail, how advisors can protect their legacy even when the first plan doesn't stick. So, Tyson, why do you think that so many succession plans fall apart even after they're in motion?
Well, I guess the honest answer is because a succession plan requires you to have to count on other people, and people aren't perfect, and things change with people when it's not just you. You can control your own succession if you're selling it to yourself. Like I do that perfectly every day.
Because you're perfect.
Succession is a relationship transaction, and there's some trust, and there's definitely some terms and things that get figured out, and you might be surprised that once was expected changes. And the hard part is it's a greater risk post-transaction, post-sale than it is beforehand. So if you think you're upset that your succession fell apart before you sold, then just, talk to somebody that sold the business to the wrong person, got on the other side of it, and gets to spend the rest of her life regretting that.
Talk a little bit maybe about that concept of you are selling your own practice. So talk through a little bit of, is it a person problem or is it a planning problem?
Well, I think it's both. I think it starts with you. Everything starts with you. While you are the owner and major shareholder, CEO, leader of the company, your fault, not anybody else's. And so it really starts with clarity around what do you want. And I am trying really, really hard and personally right now, today on this podcast, at the stage of my life, is to also try and let go of having influences outside of those that I love and myself of what do I want? Because the world says you want more.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes more isn't better. Or sometimes your team can't handle the more. Or sometimes you have enough that you can't handle that. But the point is it really starts with you and what do you want in that space framework and seeing it and getting feedback in it and jumping down to the commit that that's what it is. Or that's what it is for this season. I think the other thing, just said in a different podcast, that we forget is the succession plan isn't done. It's the act of planning. It evolves just like your business plan evolves, just like your life evolves.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not necessarily the end. It's the beginning of maybe something better that you're involved in, you're working your way out of, or you're not in at all because you're called to do something else entirely different that you can't do when you're trapped in whatever it is you're doing. But so there's you, and then there's them or the other person, whether it's an individual, a junior, a G2 advisor, a team member, a leadership team, an acquisition, someone else, somebody else, something else is eventually going to take over. There's two things to remember. One, we're selling what's not ours because in financial services, it's the clients.
Yep.
And two, the whole goal is to leave them better off. The client, not you. And so I think part of it is, as you think of your succession and what that looks like, what that transition is, and including, you could die at your desk, right? Maybe it's just who the people are when you're not here. Very important to think through that, because if you're not here, those people need to be the right ones, or your plan blows up and you're not here to fix it because you're dead or disabled.
Yep.
But it's to realize that the plan evolves. You need to be honest with yourself that your gut is right. Right? Not your head, not what other people are telling you, not what's in the industry, not all this other stuff. Like, your gut is right. Is this the right person to take the business over? Yes or no? Gut. What does it say to you? Is this the right decision to transition? Is it the right decision to die at your desk? Is it the right decision to keep doing all this stuff? What is your gut saying you? And you have to be so honest with your feelings. I suggest you talk them out to other people that you trust, because they will hear the truth that you might not be allowing yourself to see.
It's very true.
We all have blind spots. Why we need other people in our lives.
It's very easy to lie to ourselves when you're swayed by those other decisions that or those other factors that could really change what your succession plan could be. So, a couple of things. If you're afraid of letting go, if you can't let go of control, the team that you've put in place or the person you're selling to underestimates or overestimates the weight and the responsibility of it, there's a handful of things that can really help crumble that. But at the core of all of it, it is people and planning, and they all go together hand in hand. So, Tyson, I want to kind of get a little bit more specific. So, say you're in the middle of your succession, you've picked someone, the plan is in motion, and it starts to unravel. Maybe they're backing out, maybe they're not understanding their new lane, maybe it's just not working. Let's kind of talk about that moment. What should you do as the founder do first? How do you protect the team, the clients in that transition?
It depends. It goes back to how much have you prepared for your plan, and if you are planning and creating your plan, you have time.
Mm.
If you have waited and now you're reacting because you've had a health issue, a life event that you're out, you're going to reap what you sow, because you didn't plan for contingencies or taking the time to stress test it or figure out what the solution is, that now you're out and you're moving out and you don't have the time to do it. You're adding stress, you're adding risk. What happens? Often the right decisions are the hardest decisions.
Mm.
And often the things that feel good and we think we want are going to give us cancer and kill us, right? It's like, it's counterintuitive, like eat broccoli, good for you, right? Ugh. Now, if you realize it's not working, it's not over, you get to try again. And if you realize it's not working, it's also to realize it wasn't meant to be, right? You can't force this upon somebody else to take over. And quite frankly, you're going to have a pretty hard time letting go of it, no matter who it is, if it went perfectly.
Yeah.
Go back and look at what were the other options. Okay, my G2 doesn't want it, or he wants it, but the bank won't finance it. Or I don't want to carry that much debt to make this happen for my G2, or whatever it is. Okay, that's where you can now switch gears, and maybe it's an external transaction, and is a successor, is another team. Is it more than one? It's not to force what wasn't meant to happen, and it's not to get mad or frustrated or let negative energy come into it. It's just explore other possibilities, live in the space of the question of what did you see that's causing you to want to exit, and how can we still exit into that, and what are my other options? Because you have options. You have an ideal, or you have your scenario, and then life happens, or the other person has to come along for the ride. And there's a lot that has to connect to make this transition happen. And it's not something that needs to go fast. It needs to go right.
It's not all lost. There is definitely space to pause, to kind of evaluate, reassess your options, get the right people around you to help think through those next steps. Can be your trusted counsel who's near you, can even be your legal team who helped you draft up some of these agreements. There is always an alternative. It's just going to take some reflection to get there.
So I'm going to use the example of someone who I've known for years. They sold their practice. They thought they did everything right. They felt like it was right. They got to the other side. Wasn't a culture fit. Wasn't good for the clients. They sold it. They couldn't undo it. They walked away from earnouts and money left on the table. They couldn't, I think it was 3 years. They had a non-compete that they couldn't have a non-compete. And they literally, my friend, like literally walked through a Scotia depression, like, oh my God, younger, just felt like it was the right time. And so this is when somebody in their 70s or 80s, this is somebody in their, in 50s, I think it was, early 50s. And I just remind her, it's like, life's not over. Like, time out. You got money that's more than enough to compensate you for the 3 years of, it's like you get to live in the space of the question of what you want to do.
Mhm.
And we all get so caught up in today, we lose perspective of time, and that it doesn't end. And 3 years seems like a lot if you're going to count it in seconds.
Mm.
But poof, she took some vacations. She looked at a couple of other different options. She explored a couple things, tried a job here, didn't like it, did something different. And she's now living out, okay, who can I be now? And now she's out of her non-compete. She's asking herself, do I want to go back into my same town? And do I want to go back into financial services again or not? And it's an example where you're not dead yet. There, right? Blow up, right? Fine. Your whole life, things can go awry. It doesn't have to be, we don't have to overweight the significance of it. I'll say one other thing. There's one caveat to that. And this is something that just came at me this morning. And I've witnessed it. There is a huge chasm in transitioning businesses of all business owners and possibly in financial services. It is, how well have you taken money out of your business to save enough wealth that the sale of a business is optional. It is not lifestyle for the rest of your life dependent that this has to be money to come out to now compensate me for this because I've stewarded so well over here, or I have some resources over here. I can do the right thing on how I transition my business instead of I have to get this number. And one of it is just how much money do you pour back into the business to make the business grow that you don't have that money back in your own
account
side of the ledger. It's another thing that, did you buy just toys and depreciating assets and you didn't save or steward well? Or did you not follow your own investment recommendations? Did you panic out of your investments? Like, do you need an advisor to help you manage your money so you can focus on other clients' monies? And the freedom that can come that's a sale optional, dollar optional, because you've saved, just like an employee that works and saves, right? That they set some money aside. They don't have a business to sell. They steward. Okay. Are you thinking about, hey, 30 something, maybe thinking of this, or 40 something, thinking of this, like bigger, better, more may prevent you from having the freedom to do the right thing later. And if you're in a situation that you're at the end of the game and you don't have enough, that just adds a whole level of stress and risk to if it doesn't go right, you're not out, or you're not out with what you needed.
Well, and those are good things to consider because that's not what people are talking about. The industry right now is talking about the multiple. It's talking about stock options. It's talking about a quick exit. Most of the conversations aren't around what do you need to do right now so that you could be in a position where the sale of your practice is optional, or you could be in a position to make a different transition to your next generation of advisors because you're not banking on the sale of your practice to have some financial compensation on the other end.
Yeah. And the other thing that the way the industry is shaping up is, the multiples, and everybody's getting like googly eyed over the numbers. And yet it's like, okay, but a lot of things have to work. And back in the day, not that long ago, it was 1 times trails and 2 times fee revenue paid over 5 years, or paid up front. And then you financed it for 5 years, which is about 20% of the revenue for 5 years is how the numbers end up working out. To pay for that, and it cash flowed. And now it's 3, maybe 3.5 up front. And then the multiples go out for earnouts and all this other stuff. But the upfront, ironically, is about 1/3, right? Stock of that acquiring company. So that's not investment cash to you. Now the pipe dream or the hope is that grows. But the actual purchasing cost to the acquirer in those scenarios is 2 times revenue, because the stock isn't an outlay, right? They're not financing that. They're creating the stock as part of the company of the acquisition. And so, as I talked to another person that did this, he's like, I think I did the right thing. And it's like, man, that they showed the progression of the stock going up, and it's just like, they can go up, and then sometimes they don't. And then sometimes things, so it's what risk do you want to take, and what have you stewarded so you can not have to have the stress behind it. And this all goes back to succession is not the end. It's not something you wait to do at the end. It's something that you start doing that if you dropped dead tomorrow, people's lives, your team, your clients, your loved ones are going to be affected because you didn't leave a set of instructions.
Yeah. Yeah. And because the failure of your plan doesn't mean it's the failure of your legacy either in that succession. There is a chance for you to pivot. And as most of you listening are, you're the visionary. Get back in the driver's seat, make some of those decisions, and move forward. So here's what we hope you take away today. Just because a succession plan doesn't work out, that next gen advisor isn't the right one, or the advisor you just purchased, that transition isn't going well, doesn't mean you missed major steps or you did something colossally wrong. And it doesn't mean you failed. It means you need to pivot. That succession isn't one conversation or one decision, it's an entire process. And sometimes the first version of that plan is not going to be the one that gets you across that finish line. So, Tyson, any final thoughts for our listeners today?
Yep. It's just to try and have the patience that none of us want to have to do what you need to do, to have the peace of mind you get when you've done it.
Well said. And if you don't have patience naturally, make sure you surround yourself with people who will help you have it. Yeah. So we'll be back soon with more conversations like this.
These conversations are designed to support your next move, however close or far it may be. Tap subscribe and let each episode guide you closer to a confident, well-planned exit. I've wrestled with these things myself, and that's exactly why I created something to help you do it with less stress and more direction. My book, Total Succession, is now available on Amazon. Inside, I break the process down into 5 clear steps to help you exit on your terms with confidence, full compensation, and your client's best interests at heart. You can also visit totalsuccession.com/podcast to download a free starter guide that walks you through my SPACE framework: see, prepare, act, commit, exit. Remember, you only exit your business once. Create the space to do it well. Thanks for listening. Until next time.